Okay, so get ready for this. We're going to be time travelers for a bit. We're heading to 2025 to check out what U.S.-Ukraine relations might look like.
Sounds intriguing.
Yeah, so we've got this YouTube video from C-SPAN, full meeting between President Trump, VP Vance, and Ukrainian President Zelenskyy in Oval Office.
It's wild.
Oh, wow, right in the Oval Office.
Yeah.
So what's the big takeaway here? What are we looking at?
Well, it's like a window into this potential future, and it's not pretty. It's all centered around this new agreement they're hammering out. Trump's trying to position himself as some kind of peacemaker, but things get really tense between him and Zelenskyy.
I bet. It's a very delicate situation, right? I mean, the whole world's been watching this conflict unfold.
Exactly. So first up, let's dive into this mineral deal. The U.S. is going to get access to all these rare earth minerals from Ukraine, and in exchange, Ukraine's going to get a bunch of money put into this fund.
Rare earth minerals, huh? We hear that phrase thrown around a lot. What's the big deal with them? Oh, they're crucial, like super important for all sorts of technology. Think AI, weapons, all that cutting-edge stuff. Trump keeps saying how essential they are if the U.S. wants to stay ahead of the game.
I see. So there's this strategic element to it, not just a business deal.
Right, exactly. And Zelenskyy, he brings up how this could finally help Ukraine get those LNG terminals they've always wanted.
Yeah.
So they can get off Russian gas.
That makes sense. Energy independence would be huge for them.
Yeah, no more Putin holding them hostage.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. A lot of the details of the deal are kind of vague. Like, where are these minerals exactly? And how are they going to protect them in a war zone?
Yeah, those are big questions.
Yeah.
It all sounds a little risky, right? I mean, what happens if things go south?
It does make you wonder, okay, now let's talk about Trump. He keeps going on about how he's the peacemaker,
Yeah.
He truly believes this deal will stop the war. Says Russia won't want to fight anymore.
And where is he getting this confidence from?
He says he's been talking to Putin a lot, like they have this back channel or something. But Zelenskyy, he's not buying it. He's super skeptical the whole time.
I can imagine. After all that's happened, it's got to be hard to trust Putin's word.
Totally. Zelenskyy keeps saying they need security guarantees. He's like, Putin broke promises before. What's stopping him from doing it again?
He's got a point.
Yeah, and it gets even crazier. He basically warns them, like straight up says, if Ukraine falls, Putin's going to go after the Baltic states and Poland next.
Wow, that's a scary thought, especially since those are NATO countries.
Right. It's like he's saying, this isn't just about us people. This could be the start of something much bigger. He's really laying it on thick, pleading for the U.S. to keep supporting them.
So you've got Trump all optimistic, Zelenskyy super anxious, and then what? It sounds like things go off the rails a bit.
Oh yeah, they do. You won't believe this. They start arguing about what Zelenskyy is wearing. Like, Trump's making a big deal about him not wearing a suit.
Seriously? In the middle of all this, that's surprising, to say the least.
I know, right? And it just keeps getting weirder from there.
Okay, I'm on the edge of my seat now. Gotta hear what happens next.
Well, you'll have to wait for part 2.
Yeah.
But trust me, it's a wild ride.
It's really interesting how Zelenskyy talks about the conflict. Like, he makes it clear that this isn't just some land grab for Putin.
Yeah, he's not just fighting for territory. It's deeper than that.
Right, he's talking about identity. Like, Putin is trying to wipe out Ukrainian culture, their language, everything.
Yeah, and that really comes through when he's asking for help. It's not just about weapons, it's about survival.
It's like an existential threat. And he doesn't shy away from comparing how different U.S. presidents have handled things.
He definitely calls out Obama and Biden for being too soft on Putin.
Oh, yeah, I remember that part. He uses that sheets versus javelins line, right?
He's basically saying Trump at least gave them something to fight back with.
It's a powerful image, but even then, he's not totally satisfied, is he?
No, he keeps pushing for those security guarantees. He won't let it go.
You can tell he doesn't trust Putin one bit. And who can blame him after all the broken promises?
Absolutely. And then he takes it even further. He says, what if Ukraine falls? What's next?
Uh-oh. Here comes the domino effect.
He says Putin will go after the Baltic states, then Poland. Straight up.
And those are NATO members, right? That changes everything.
Totally. Suddenly it's not just a regional conflict anymore.
He's really trying to get their attention, make them see the bigger picture.
For sure. He's like, if you don't help us now, you might be fighting Putin yourselves later.
It's a pretty bold strategy, but I guess when your back is against the wall.
You do what you gotta do. But then it gets so strange. All this talk about World War III, and then bam, they're arguing about Zelenskyy's clothes.
It's like a reality show or something. I can't believe Trump fixated on that.
I know, right? In the middle of this super tense meeting, he's worried about a suit.
I guess it shows how these personal dynamics can really derail things.
Yeah, Trump seems to want this praise, you know. He wants Zelenskyy to be super grateful for the U.S. help.
And when he doesn't get it,
It creates this awkward tension, like their egos are clashing or something.
diplomacy can be so messy. So where do we go from here? What are your thoughts?
Well, we've got this mineral deal. Trump's claiming it's the path to peace.
Oh,
But something feels off.
right. There's all this tension, the lack of trust, and those big questions about what the U.S. will actually do if things blow up again.
It's a cliffhanger for
Yeah.
sure. It's crazy, right? This whole situation throws up all these ethical dilemmas for the U.S.
Yeah, like they're stuck between a rock and a hard place.
On the one hand, you've got this humanitarian crisis in Ukraine. It's just awful what's happening to those people.
It's hard to stand by and do nothing, right? You feel like you have to step in, help out.
Exactly, but then there's that risk of making things even worse. Like, could this pull the U.S. into a war with Russia?
And we all know what that could mean. A nuclear power. It's terrifying to even think about.
Seriously. And then you've got the economic angle. They really want those rare earth minerals.
They're essential for all that high-tech stuff, but is it right to put profits before people?
That's what gets me. Like, where do you draw the line? Can you justify it?
It makes you question how much economic interest should really drive foreign policy decisions, you know?
Especially in a conflict zone. And what kind of message does it send to other countries?
Right, like, hey, if you want something bad enough, maybe you can just ignore international pressure.
Exactly. And then there's that whole trust issue. Can Zelenskyy really trust Trump to back him up?
He seems pretty doubtful, and after all that arguing, I don't know if Trump trusts Zelenskyy either.
They didn't exactly leave things on a good note.
It's like the whole relationship is damaged now, which just makes everything harder.
It makes it harder to solve problems, harder to find common ground.
Totally. It's like this dark cloud hanging over everything. So even with this mineral deal, can it really bring peace?
I don't know. It feels shaky, doesn't it? Like
Yeah.
it could all fall apart so easily.
It does. We're left with more questions than answers. What happens if the fighting starts again? Will the U.S. actually send troops?
What about the economic fallout?
Yeah,
The impact on other countries? It's all connected.
it is. But you know, even though this 2025 thing is just a what-if scenario, it makes you think.
It does. Makes you think about the world right now and how fragile things really are.
It's a reminder that peace is precious. And it's not something we can just assume will always be there.
Yeah, we have to work for it, you know. Be aware of the risks. Think about the consequences.
And remember that these decisions, they affect real people's lives, so we have to choose wisely.
Absolutely. Well, that was intense. This deep dive into U.S.-Ukraine relations has been a real eye-opener.
It has. Lots to think about, that's for sure.
But hey, that's what these deep dives are all about, right?
Yeah.
Exploring the big questions and trying to make sense of it all.
Exactly. And hopefully it gets people talking, gets them engaged, because these issues, they matter.
They do. And the more informed we are, the better choices we can make as a society. So until next time, keep those questions coming, keep digging deeper, and keep searching for those insights that can help us build a better future.